If you're tired of hearing, it depends. Every time you ask somebody how long it's going to take you to reach your singing goals, you have come to the right video, my friend. Of course, it depends. It depends on where you're starting from, how much you practice, whether or not what you're practicing is the right thing for your voice, and what your goals are, where you're trying to go. But for today's video, I want to break down what all these different moving parts are so that you can actually estimate how long it is going to take you to reach your singing goals. Hey singer, my name is Lara. I'm the founder of VoxTape Studios, an online coaching studio for singers. And we have seen singers both being shocked by how long and how short it takes to reach their singing goals. Some think that they can get it done in just a few weeks, a few months, or maybe just a handful of lessons. Others think that it's going to take them a whole decade, and the answer is usually somewhere in between. But that is still an enormous range. So let's break it down. Like I said, reaching your singing goals and improving your voice depends on four things: where you're starting from, where you're trying to go, how much you practice, and whether or not what you're practicing is actually working for your specific voice. I want to address where you're trying to go, aka your goal, and how much you practice first, because those are very simple answers. If your goals are to not make a fool of yourself when you sing in front of somebody and you just want to learn how to carry a tune, chances are you're probably already there. But in case you are not, if you're struggling with matching pitch, then depending on how long it takes you to learn this pitch matching skill, I would say probably somewhere between 6 to 12 months. And yes, matching pitch is absolutely a skill that can be learned. It's actually one of the hardest skills that a lot of singers take for granted. If you can just do it, amazing, good for you. It's actually really hard to do, but it is something that can be learned. So if you're struggling with this, please don't feel bad. We're going to talk more about that in just a second. But on the other hand, if your goal is to sing like Whitney Houston, well, that will be a lifelong journey, my friend. But also, we always recommend creating a goal that is not tied to what somebody else has done or is doing, because then you will always feel like you are not enough because you are not that person. And nor should you be. You bring your own amazing, beautiful qualities to this singing and music world, and that should be celebrated and highlighted. So maybe adjust your goal slightly, because otherwise you will always be disappointed, and that is not the goal of singing and creating music, to be a copy of somebody else. Of course, unless you are an impersonator, that's a different story. How much you practice really accelerates the progress that you're already making, but you can also definitely practice too much. We usually recommend 20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. If you can do more than that, awesome, but definitely no more than 45 minutes to an hour, and give yourself at least one rest day a week. More than that literally doesn't help, okay? If you don't practice at all, then obviously you're gonna move at snail pace. And if you practice a little bit more, if you find that sweet spot 4 to 5 times a week, 30 minutes, you're going to make progress so much more quickly. But again, please don't overdo it. It is also a lot better to practice short amounts of times more frequently than just, once a week for 2 hours. Spread it out over the week. You're going to grow faster that way. Now, moving on to the more important parts of making progress: where you are starting from and whether or not you're practicing the right things for your voice. At VoxTape Studios, we teach around 80 lessons per week with different singers. So I would say it's fair to say that we have worked with a lot of different singers over the years. And because we have gotten to know all these different kinds of voices, we have created a path called the VoxTape Path that breaks down a singer's journey so that they can gain more clarity over where on this path they are and what the next steps are for them. I have head vocal coach Emily here with me today to break every part of this path down, what goes into it, and how it all, comes together. Emily, take it away.
Hey singers, it's Coach Emily here from VoxTape Studios, here to show you examples of what the VoxTape Path really looks like. So we start out with pitch. The thing about pitch is that some people are naturally inclined to hear pitch very clearly, while others have to work on it. Now, it's totally neutral, whatever category you fall into. Lots of very famous singers are very sharp or very flat or sometimes off key or sometimes out of tune or have totally perfect pitch. Lots of singers have a multitude of experiences around pitch itself. But if you want to learn pitch, there are a couple things you want to make sure are happening. So you want to make sure that you're actually taking the pitch in as information. That means instead of just thinking, I need to match this pitch, I need to match this pitch. Oh no, I didn't even hear the pitch because I'm thinking about how I need to match the pitch. You just take a second, you take a breath, and then you listen to the pitch and match whatever it is. Let's take a look at a couple VoxTape students, some of whom I've worked with personally on pitch, and let's see how their journeys went.
But then you saw me, caught you by surprise. A single teardrop falling from your eye. I don't know why I run away. I'll make you cry when I run away. Y mucho menos puede controlar o evitar que pierda la ilusión. Yo pensé que esto iba a llegar mucho más allá y desapareció, se fue sin avisar. Es tan extraño que todo se quedó, pero el amor no está.
The fields have grown over now, years since they've seen a plow. Everything needs to be just 5% higher.
Okay.
You can do a slight shake in your head while you're singing, right?
Okay.
Just to make sure these muscles here in your neck and your shoulders are not starting to get a little grabby. The fields have grown over now, years since they've seen a plow. Yeah, that was beautiful. As you can see, two very different singers with two different challenges. For Javier, it was more an underlying pitch accuracy issue where he was just a little wishy-washy with his pitch. So about 3 months of vocal training worked for him to clean up those pitches and have him be perfectly accurate on all the different notes. With Danielle, it was tension that was keeping her from going all the way up to those notes. So once she released that tension, within just a few minutes, her pitch issues were solved as well. We have singers improve their pitch and fix all of their pitch challenges anywhere between 3 months to 1 year. It really just depends on how fast your brain can make the connection between hearing a note and replicating the note. It is both ear training and vocal training to match pitch. It is actually quite a difficult skill to learn, but it is absolutely learnable. You just need a little bit of patience and guidance. And of course, if you don't struggle with matching pitch at all, congratulations, you just saved a year on your vocal journey.
The next step in the path is effortless singing. Now, effortless singing is a huge umbrella because what does effort really mean? You do have to try to sing, right? You can't just and hope that a sound comes out. That effort doesn't need to come from, I'm gripping onto every muscle possible to really try to reach the sound and get it out, right? That is a very normal, very common experience. We think, okay, I'm going higher, I'm going louder, it means I need to push harder. But in reality, doing less, using less physical effort from these external muscles will make your singing 10 times easier and actually allow your range to grow. So let's take a look at a couple singers who worked on releasing tension, and you can see how much their voice changes simply by releasing these grabbing muscles. Now see if you can just lower the volume a little bit. Think that you're stretching up through the middle of your mouth, yeah.
Take! Is that better?
We're getting really nice mix there. How's that feeling?
Yeah, that feels easier because I'm not trying to push out so much.
Yeah, it's not trying to it's just doing
I've always been a fighter.
It doesn't quite want to get all the way up there, which is telling me you need a little more air, a little more breath pressure. So you can do a little more of an engagement in those lower abs there. Think that your head is stretching up and your shoulders are stretching down. I've always been a fighter.
I've always been a fighter.
Yeah, that's it.
Felt really easy.
I know.
I've always been a fighter. Running through the fire.
If you know us at all, you know that we are huge on singing effortlessly, and you just saw why. Within minutes of these singers stopping all this extra effort and this push and the strain, their tone opened up and everything was just better. It sounded better and it felt better. It's just a win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation all around. And that's the cool thing about, singing effortlessly. You can feel and see the change right away, unlike pretty much any other skill that you're going to learn. But here is the thing. Experiencing it once or, again and again and again, and having it be the default way of how you sing, those are two very different things. And making it the default is going to take a few months. On average, our singers, it takes them about 6 months to make singing effortlessly and without all this extra tension their default, not just like, oh my God, I experienced it, but doing it consistently that way. And also, please just know that working on singing effortlessly is not a straight line. It is ups and downs. If you're going through a particularly stressful time in your life, you might be feeling more tension and more effort in your singing than when you are feeling lovey-dovey, everything's rosy and perfect, okay? It's not a straight line, so please be patient with yourself. And one more thing that you need to be careful with when it comes to singing effortlessly, a lot of singers think that they're singing pretty effortlessly. It doesn't take a lot of effort for them to sing because that is their default, right? They're used to singing this way, so it feels normal to them. But once they learn how to sing actually effortlessly, they can feel the difference. So, out of the hundreds, like at this point, we're probably close to 1,000 singers that we've worked with over the years. Out of all of these singers, we've maybe had a handful of singers that truly did not have to work on releasing tension and singing more effortlessly. Everybody else did. So this is like a sneaky little thing that sometimes people think they don't really have to work on, but it is in fact most likely, like 99.9999% sure that you should work on this, and it's probably going to take 6 months.
So once all these extra muscles that want to squeeze and get in your way are released, then we work toward vocal balance. Now, vocal balance is similar to mix. You might be thinking, well, isn't mix balance? Vocal balance is the journey and mixed voice is the destination. So we want to make sure our head voice has the same strength as our chest voice and we're super strong. Do you see my huge muscles and my head voice muscle and my chest voice muscle? Yes. We want to make sure these muscles are super strong and of equal strength, plus have flexibility. That's how we get to a balanced voice, where it's not or or where we can really move through an entire slide by going and it feels easy and it sounds similar to speech because in contemporary music, that's where we're heading most of the time. So let's explore what it's been like to work with different students on vocal balance.
You can build me up, you can tear me down, you can try, but I'm unbreakable.
You know what though, Emily? As you say, it does feel easier and it feels more achievable now than a few weeks ago, which is awesome because I never thought I'd be able to sing something like this.
Now you're back for your gain. Do you think I'll play your game?
Tell Barry, all the way over there, the lyrics in your chorus. Go for it.
Now you're back for your gain. Do you think I'm gonna play your game? Now you're back for your gain. Do you think I'll play your game?
Grace and Elizabeth are two very different singers. Grace would be too chest dominant and a little bit too pushy, and Elizabeth could never quite get the power that she wanted. They both achieved the end result, vocal balance, right? That beautiful mix. But the path to get there was quite different for both of them. But the cool thing about getting vocal balance is that once you have it, you can pretty much do whatever it is you want with your voice and truly experience creative freedom in your voice. For me personally, it took me years and years and years and years and years to achieve vocal balance, but that was because I did not have an effortless foundation first. So assuming that you already have an effortless foundation, then I would say it takes about 1 to 2 years to, achieve vocal balance to the point where you can easily transition between all the different notes and have that kind of creative freedom that you are looking for. Now, of course, if you are currently cracking all over the place when you're transitioning from low notes to high notes, then you're probably going to be more on the higher end of that range, closer to 2 years. If you can already transition smoothly, you're just working on adding more power into that middle range, for example, then you're probably closer to like 6 to 12 months.
So now we've begun to establish this solid foundation of technique. So your singing is going to be safe, it's going to be secure, it's going to be sustainable. But none of that matters if you don't actually get out there and sing. So confidence is a huge part of this vocal path. I mean, a lot of people, nerves get in the way, right? Like you think, I've been working on this song, I have it down pat, I've done it in my voice lesson for the past month and I crush it every single time. Then you get to the karaoke mic and you go, ah, and there's a crack and you're like, how did that happen? Because your nerves are in the way. And you're thinking, okay, well now I can never sing in public again because I had this one bad experience. Well, let me tell you, everybody has those bad experiences, and that is what shapes you as a performer. Developing that resilience can be super helpful. So the number one tip on building confidence is getting yourself out there. But if you need help getting yourself out there and practicing singing in front of others, that is part of our VoxTape Path. So let's take a look at a couple students who have really worked on their confidence in their singing and now can actually get out there and do the thing.
This guy came up to me last night and he was like, "Oh my God, you have such a soulful voice. Where did you learn to sing like that?" And I said, I work with Emily. I work with Emily from VoxTape Studios. He's like, "What?" And I'm like, dude, I did not sing like this before. I did not sing like this. Trust me, I did not. Yeah, and then I was telling him, he's like, "What do you want to do with music?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to go play in restaurants." He's like, "Yeah, I think that you probably can already do that. There's a lot of people out there that do not sing as well as you do."
That's awesome.
And then the bartender was like, "Barry, you smashed it tonight." So yeah, so I got some really cool feedback, so I'm getting there.
When I hear the recordings and when I also see myself, I mean, I'm also able to record myself with a camera. Before, I was always just audio recording because I felt too afraid of like seeing myself sing. And so such a huge progress. I also feel like I can sing with more ease. And that's what was, my main point. I wanted to like be able to enjoy singing and to like really feel it without being overwhelmed by the anxiety that I actually always have.
Confidence isn't just something that you're either born with or you're out of luck. And it also doesn't just depend on how good of a singer you are. I'm sure you've met plenty of singers who are actually really good and they're like, "Oh, no, like they don't feel confident at all." And then you've met singers that are not as good, but they feel a lot more confident, right? Your singing ability is not everything when it comes to confidence. Also, this step overlaps with everything else that you're doing as well. And actually, the more confident you feel in your singing, it's going to help you make progress more quickly through the other steps as well. Because when you're constantly worried about what other people think and singing in front of others and, oh my God, here comes the high note, then you're building up tension in your singing and that makes it less effortless. So, working on your confidence hand in hand with your effortless singing and your vocal balance will actually help you make progress more quickly in those areas as well. The funny thing is, we spent about 6 months trying to tell Barry that he is already plenty good to, sing in front of others, to go and perform at bars and restaurants, which is one of his goals. It took us like 6 months of convincing him that he can do it, for him to go out there and actually finally do it. And the feedback that he got from the people that, were watching him perform was incredible. And they were like, "Oh yeah, you can totally already do this." So, he just needed that external validation, not just from us, but from other people as well. And we promise you, the more you sing in front of others, the easier it gets. 3 to 6 months is usually a pretty good time frame for people to, start feeling more confident in their voice and putting themselves out there. Now, of course, if you're already feeling super confident, then yay, good for you. We love that. But if the thought of singing in front of somebody scares the bejesus out of you, don't worry, confidence is not a trait. It is something that can be learned. That's why it's a step on this path, okay? And a supportive environment can really, really, really help with this.
All right, so now we have foundational technique that is tension-free and you feel strong and in love with your voice. But it kind of sounds like a piano, kind of sounds like la, 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 la. And you're thinking, I think I need a little bit of pizzazz. Well, this final step in the VoxTape path is all dedicated to figuring out your signature sound and working on your signature voice. The sounds that you make can be unbelievably expressive, and this is where we want to work on emotional expression, connection to your piece, really text painting, adding to your vocal toolbox to be able to throw in a little riff, throw in a little run, belt this part, mix this part, but do it all from the point of view of storytelling. How am I serving the song? Not just, oh, I think this is fun, I think this sounds cool. That totally has its time and place, but I do want to say approaching things from a storytelling point of view will tell you exactly when to use the different parts of your voice and why you're using them. Now, developing that toolbox is part of developing your signature sound. So let's take a look at a couple students who have been working on that vocal expression toolbox.
And I can see the sun through a canopy of green. That's exactly the spots where it's like, you know, we tried, you know, you know, there's all those different things we've tried, and it's like, it's interesting.
Yeah, and which one's serving you in the text that you're saying,
right,
paired with the range that you're singing in.
I wonder if you're around, 'cause you know that I do it all again. The things I did, just so I could call you mine. All the things I did, well, I hope I wasn't
That was beautiful. It hit me in the feels and I was not ready for it. That was very good.
I've noticed a lot of change in not only the way I approach songs, but also when I'm starting to feel like a bit hesitant in certain parts. A lot of the exercises we did throughout the past couple weeks have really helped not make me so scared of the song, because I feel like I always approached it with a certain level of fear. It really just helps me stay grounded in the actual artistry and not so much the perfectionism behind it and wanting to sound a specific way. So I feel a lot better about it because I'm not hyper critical of that sounded this way and that sounded that way and that's not how Olivia did it.
We do steps 1 through 4 so that we can have a ton of fun with step number 5. This is where your songs come to life, where you're painting the picture, where you're telling the story and really connect with your audience. A lot of singers that we have worked with are usually pretty surprised when they realize how many details there are in a vocal performance. And it's super important that we train both the ears to hear what all these details are and the voice to execute those details. Training your ears is going to be super fast. It's going to take, just a few weeks, maybe up to 3 months, okay? But that is a pretty fast skill that you can learn as long as you're doing it with someone that can point everything out and you can train your ear that way. Now, doing set skills, on the other hand, is a little bit different. That also, again, depends on where you are starting from. If you can already kind of do a little bit vibrato, maybe, do some simple riffs, it's going to take you maybe, 6 to 9 months. If you can't do any of that just yet, it might take you more like a year and a half. But that is just one half of it, right? Like training your ears and training your voice to do all of those things. The other half is figuring out, well, what do you actually want to do in your singing? Because just because you can and just because they're options doesn't necessarily mean that you should do all of those things. You need to develop your own style. And this is where it gets a lot of fun, where you can really figure out, okay, what do I want to do with my voice? And that is a never-ending journey because you grow as a person, you grow as a singer, you grow as an artist, and your choices and, your style will grow with you. All your favorite artists do the same thing. So please don't feel like you have to make a decision today and then stick with that forever. Allow yourself to grow and to change. But do make a choice now. but then stay open-minded, okay? But you have to make a choice to not just be wishy-washy, because then you're not actually defining your sound. You have to define your sound and then start building on top of that and be open to change. Those are the 5 steps of the VoxTape path. Now, please don't just go and calculate all these numbers together, because pretty much all of these steps overlap and one informs the other, okay? So instead of just calculating all these numbers together, let's look at a few scenarios. If you are a complete beginner and your goal is to, release your own original music and put yourself out there as an artist, you're probably looking at a 3+ year time frame. But if you're already feeling, comfortable singing to karaoke tracks, and your goal is to maybe feel confident posting some singing clips and, just putting yourself out there and not hide under a rock, then you're probably looking at closer to like a 2-year time frame. And if you're already really comfortable in your voice, but you just want to explore and see what else your voice can do and have a lot of fun with it and really become an artist and express yourself, you're probably looking at more like 6 months. Now, please don't take this as the Bible, okay? These are just some time frames that we have seen for most of our students. Everyone is a little bit different. And all of these time frames also assume that you are practicing the right things for your specific voice. And I have no way of telling you what the right techniques and exercises and what you should be focusing on next in your singing. I have no way of telling you that, because I don't know you. I don't know your voice, right? So what your logical next step is now is booking an intro lesson with head vocal coach Emily that you've seen here in this video, so that you can get a full picture of where your voice is at and what you need to work on to reach your goals and, get maybe a little bit of a tighter timeline on how long it's going to take you to reach your goals. You will be singing a song for Emily. You'll workshop that together, so you'll already see improvements right there in that one-on-one lesson with her. And you'll obviously get the path for you, what your next step is, what your next few steps are, so that you have a clearer picture of what your path is and what you need to do and how long it's going to take you to get there. The link to book an intro session with Emily is in the description below, so check that out. Pick a day and a time that works for you, and she'll send you the Zoom link to your session right away. Hopefully this video helped you get a little bit more clarity on what you need to do and what this whole path looks like, and estimate approximately how long it's going to take you to go from where you are to where you want to go. But please remember, this takes effort, okay? You actually have to practice. You actually have to show up for yourself and put in the work to get to your results. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't always have to be super consistent, but you have to work for it to get there, okay? If you're willing to work for it, literally the sky is the limit. You can take it as far as you want to, but it does take effort. Alrighty, that is it. Let's get to work, and happy singing.